How many years are you working here?
Well, we're here for 8 years.
Right.
We opened up the yeshiva about 8 years ago. There were a group of parents that felt that their children were not getting what they wanted them to get in the yeshivas, in the local yeshivas, and they wanted something special, gearing more towards individualized attention to the students. They felt that their children were coming out of yeshiva without a passion and a love for Limud Torah, for learning. They were going through the system of 6 years, 8 years, and either not knowing how to learn or not enjoying it.
What are you doing to make kids love learning?
We created a program of daily, if I can call it bite-size classes, bite-size curriculum, where the students learn a bite-size every day, 8 lines, 10 lines a day, but they master it. They master that day's quota. It's an amount that every student can accomplish, every student can do. We have a lot of visual, we bring in a lot of technology into the classroom. We have PowerPoint presentations, we have the worksheets, we have a lot to help with every day's quota, every day's piece of Gemara, every day's piece. It may seem a little bit in the beginning, it's just 8 lines, 10 lines, 12 lines a day, but after 10 days you're talking 120 lines.
Right, and if they master it...
They master it, every day they master those 8 to 12 lines. After 10 days, they already have, we're talking about a page or 2 pages that they master. The confidence that it builds within just the first 10 days is tremendous, and that's what keeps it going. We're now 3 months into the year, and we did over 16 pages of Talmud, of Gemara, that the Bachar master. Just the self-confidence, just the self-esteem that they have from that, the success, breeds success. If they're successful in that, in Gemara, they'll be successful in anything. They can take on other things.
Well, it's extremely important because I remember even as a kid in the class, once the Rebbe marches on, once you fall behind, you just keep falling behind further and further. We
do have actually within the system, part of the system is that we have every day's lesson, and then we give, at the end of the class, we give a half hour for back review. So every day they're learning a new 8 lines, they're learning a new 10 lines, they're slowly inching forward, but we never forget the past. We have every day as a half hour review on the previous, and we go in a cyclical order, constantly reviewing what they learned from the beginning of the year.
And you're testing the kids,
you're measuring them? Testing them, constantly reviewing, constantly. So when they come out after a full year, they will have mastered, this is just in one subject, just Talmud in the morning, they will have mastered over 20 pages, which is 40 sides of the Gemara. If they do that for 2 years, and then 3 years within our high school program, with adding on Rashi and adding on Tosfos, they will have mastered over 60 pages of Gemara. The confidence they have to go into yeshiva, they can, be on par and surpass Bachram coming in from any of the yeshiva. We've seen the success. We've seen boys coming in. I can tell you a story about one of the. We have a boy from New Orleans.
Right.
He came from a day school where, throughout elementary school, there were 3 students in his class, 1 boy and 2 girls. He never learned Talmud. He never learned Gemara before. He came here. This was introduction to Gemara. 3 months into the year, he mastered 8 pages of Gemara. It's a phenomenal feat. I mean, for someone to come in with 0 background and to be able to read 8 pages of Gemara in just 3 months is tremendous.
It's phenomenal for the boy himself because he realizes he can do it. Before he might have thought it's like mastering Chinese. No. I don't know if you realize, but you're describing a system that was used very successfully by Rabbi Avigdor Miller to teach Balabatim who never learned Gemara. I mean, obviously you may or may not know that, but that's a proven system that you're doing.
Baruch Hashem, we're seeing tremendous success with it.
Do you see kids go on in life and become very confident in themselves because of this?
There's no question. There's no question. If they can master, that. What happens is the students are spending the majority of the day learning Gemara. That's the majority of the day in yeshiva. If they're not good at that, what does it do to their self-esteem? What does it do to their, self-image? If they're spending 4, 5, 6, 7 hours a day doing something that they're not good at, doing something that they can't be good at, doing something that they're... If a boy is coming into school every day and 7 hours of the day he's failing, 5 hours of the day he's failing, what does that do to his self-esteem? What does that do to his self-image? What does that do to his... It's disastrous. Whereas if he comes in and he's successful and he feels confident, he can take on the world.
Well, there are also, I'll ask a separate question. There are a lot of yeshivas where they kind of grind out the Talmidim. It's everyone's got to fit into the system. If you don't fit into the system, you're thrown out of yeshiva. In fact, I know one particular yeshiva that they accept maybe 10% of their elementary students into their high school because the students don't measure up, which is a strange thing in itself. But do you grind that? How do you work on these students? Do they love Torah? Will they go on to become Torah people?
The goal of yeshiva really is to keep the boys from. That they should come out loving Torah, loving Yiddishkeit, loving the Eibusher, and keeping a life of Torah mitzvahs. Learning, everyone is on a different level. And the goal is not necessarily they should come out being a big Talmid Chacham. You're going to have people that are going to go into business. I want them to know how to learn. I want them to feel comfortable in Torah. I want them to feel comfortable with learning. Will they all become Rabbanim? Will they all become, Rabbeim? No. Some will go into business, some will go into Chinuch, some will go into Shlichus, some will go into other areas. I want them to come out, number one, to be from Erlich Yidden. That's my number one priority. They should know, but on the other hand, they should have Torah should be part of their life. I want them to feel connected. I want them to feel that Torah is accessible to them. I want them to feel that they have a part of Torah. Torah is for them, and they can learn, and they could. Well, every student could. And really see it.
Yeah, you have to. Well, basically, if Torah is something that you learn in yeshiva but don't apply to your real life, you've really failed. The Torah doesn't mean
right. So the number one priority really is they should come out from.
So, well, we just mentioned in history the Chafetz Chaim was for a while, not forever, but he was a grocery store. He ran a grocery store, so obviously he had to make a living. He did.
Gemara has
many
Tanaim that ran businesses, and
they had to.
Wanted to be Erlich Yidden. The number one is from Erlich Yidden, the Surah Eibusher. But Torah should be part. Torah has to be part of our life, and we make it accessible. There are boys that. People come in, as boys come into yeshiva, thinking Gemara is for Rabbanim, thinking Gemara is for Talmidei Chachamim, Gemara for people that are able to learn. Gemara, when they come out of my yeshiva, Bachram on any level, being able to read 40 pages of Gemara, being able to read 60 pages of Gemara, Torah is for them. Torah is part of them. They have a relationship with Torah. They can learn Torah. Torah is part of their life. We have boys that come from backgrounds where Torah is not chashuv to them. I have the famous question that everybody, the boys, always ask me, what's the point of learning this? How's it going to help me in life?
Right.
What's this going to do for me in life? Am I going to make money? How is this going to ever help me in life? It's a question that many boys have. The answer that I give them is really what their background is. If a boy is coming from a home where he sees his grandfather learning Torah in his free time, he sees his father learning Torah in his free time, he sees his older brothers learning Torah in his free time, he sees his uncles learning Torah, he doesn't have that question. He knows that Torah is part of life. He doesn't have the question, what is it going to help me in life? He knows that that's what he's going to be doing the rest of his life. Torah is part of his life. The questions that I'm getting, is the boys that are asking me these questions are boys where their grandfather doesn't learn Torah, their father doesn't learn Torah, the older brothers don't learn Torah, the uncles don't learn Torah. The only way for me to really teach them the value of Torah, besides teaching them, the Chassidus that we teach and the importance of Torah and the connection you have with the Eibusher through learning Torah, besides all of that, is to show them that Torah is accessible. Torah can be part of their life. Torah is part of their life, and Torah is accessible for them. And the more they learn Torah, the more they master it, the more they become familiar with the language, the more they become attached to it, the more they master it, the more they see that Torah can be part of their life, and the more they want Torah to be part of their life. When they come out knowing 60 pages of Gemara, that 60 blat is 120 pages of Gemara. Torah is interesting. Torah is geschmack. Even on an intellectual level, Torah is interesting. It's fascinating. And when a boy comes out, even if he has never, even if he comes from a home where it's not part of the life, it's not part of their history, it's not part of his upbringing, when he has that connection to Torah, it becomes part of his life.
Well, it's not just that. If you do business and you don't do business according to Torah principles, Who says you can't steal? It's Torah that tells you can't steal. If I say values-based, well, I'm a guy who says it's okay to steal a little bit. But if I learn Torah, it doesn't say Lo sigzel michavercha. It just says Lo sigzel. That means anybody. It's not. You can't darshan Lo sigzel. You gotta. It just says don't steal. That means don't steal from a guy, don't steal from a Jew, don't steal from anybody. There's no loophole there. There's no lawyer loophole. And weights and measures, if you learn all the Gemaras, this is all there. So it really does apply to life.
We had a student, just comes to mind, he's the fourth or the fifth in his family. Boy, knows there are older sisters, but from the boys, he's the fourth or the fifth boy in the family. Every one of his brothers left school, didn't make it past 11th grade. Didn't make it past 11th. In other words, some of them left school, left yeshiva world. Left school at 9th grade, 10th grade, 11th grade. He's the first one that finished 11th grade and moved on to yeshiva. He's now in a rabbinical college. That's a tremendous success. To have the first one in a family of 4 or 5 boys that none of them made it past high school. And by him coming to our program, we're able to instill in him that passion for Yiddishkeit and that passion for Limud Torah. And he's the first one of his family that's, going on, continuing the life in Torah, and
it's also very important that Torah should not be presented as the mullahs. That if you don't do it, you're getting a stick over your head. You have to teach people to love it because that's the only thing that'll stay.
It's actually what I tell people. It's brought down from the Rebbe Rashab. The Rebbe Rashab brings down that this is just known. Just Rebbe Rashab brings it. There are 4 types of pleasure. 4 types of just worldly pleasure that a person has. And it was always fascinating me why, I'll get there in a minute I guess, the lowest level of pleasure is eating, and drinking, and sleeping, physical pleasure. Everyone has that pleasure, everyone wants it, everyone enjoys it. Now, what happens if someone doesn't? You have a child, you have a person that he can't eat. There are only 1 or 2 reasons, there are only 2 reasons why that may be. Number 1 is food tastes bad.
Right.
The second reason is the person is not well. The person is sick. If the food tastes bad, he won't want to eat. If he doesn't feel good, if he's sick, he won't want to eat. How do you help that? You make the food taste good, or you cure the person. The food has to be presented properly. The food has to be presented as it tastes good, and the person needs to be cured. Higher than that, he explains, is the pleasure of midos. Emotion, helping, being kind. There's a pleasure that a person has in being kind. It's more edel than the pleasure of eating and drinking and sleeping. It's more edel, it's more refined, it's a higher form of pleasure, which is helping. People by nature enjoy helping. They enjoy being good. If someone doesn't, it's 1 of 2 reasons. Either he was never taught how to do it, it wasn't presented to him properly, or the person is sick. The person is emotionally unhealthy and he doesn't understand. Higher than that is the pleasure of music. Music is a pleasurable thing. Music is enjoyable. And again, if a person doesn't enjoy music, it's 1 of 2 things. Either the music that was presented to him is bad music.
Right.
If it was real quality music, he would enjoy it. Or the person may be tone deaf. The person may have a problem within him that he's not able to.
He doesn't know how to appreciate it. Yeah.
The highest form of pleasure is intellect. The highest form of enjoyment, of geschmack, of pleasure, is understanding, is knowledge, is knowing, understanding, intellect. If a person doesn't enjoy, again, 1 of 2 reasons. Either the subject or the intellect was not presented to him properly, or the person has a disability. The person has a problem why he's not understanding it. Torah is geschmack. Torah is enjoyable. Torah is pleasurable. And it always bothered me that there are Bachram leaving yeshiva, 8 years in yeshiva, and they don't enjoy learning. They don't enjoy Gemara. And what's happening that they're in yeshiva for 8 years learning Gemara? I mean, you have many boys coming out enjoying Gemara. But why is it that there are so many Bachram coming out after 8 years of learning Gemara and they don't enjoy it? And it's one of those 2 things, and that's what we're working on. We're working on, number 1, presentation, We put a lot of work into our lesson plans, making it presentable. We have a lot of visual aid. Presenting it in a geschmacka way, presenting it in an enjoyable way, showing the question and the answer. Is the question a good question? Does the answer the question? Is the proof a good proof? And now that we answer the question, did it answer all the details? Does the proof, is it really showing a proof? It's enjoyable. And if the boy has a disability, then we help him. That's what the visual aid. We have tutors. We have many worksheets that help out the boy. That's those two problems, and we see it. I see just after 3 months, we see the tremendous success, and the boys are enjoying it. They enjoy the learning. They look forward to coming. Baruch Hashem.
Well, I know boys from this yeshiva, and I could tell you something, and I know many other yeshivas, and I'll tell you what I feel is a difference. I think it's important to mention on this video, is if you want to light a fire, you need a match. It takes fire to light another fire. So if the person who's teaching it is not on fire and not loving it himself, then how do you expect the other kid to catch fire? And part of what you have here, which I don't know if you realize it, is that the Rebbeim, even the teachers, they're on fire. And when a kid sees that, sooner or later, if you hold a match long enough, the kid will light up too.
Yeah, and that's what I was saying before. They have to see and they have to understand a reason. Besides, obviously Kabbalah, so that's what the Mishnah wants to learn. You have to learn Torah. But the boys are asking a reason. Why do I need to learn this? What is it going to help me in life? And the boys that are asking are the boys that don't see Torah as part of their life. They don't see Torah as part of their life. They come from homes, backgrounds, not their fault. And they're not blaming them, not blaming their parents, and not everyone has their issues and where they're coming from, their background and their history and their... But the fact is that these boys are coming from homes, many of them are coming from homes where Torah is not part of their life. Yiddishkeit, there's Yiddishkeit in the house, to a certain extent. But the limud Torah is not part of their life. And they really, what do I need it for? Yeah, you're right. When they come in and they see a Rebbe, first of all, when they see it's accessible to them, and they can appreciate it, and they can enjoy it, and when they see the Rebbe has a passion for it, they see that it's something which is alive, something which people live with, they want to be part of it.